3. We want to welcome everybody today to Mom and Dad Talks. And once again, we got our favorite guest too with Mom and Dad and my other mom, Hanty. Yay! So it's good to see, always good to see my whole family here. Amen. And so I enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoy it too. I know a lot of people you say you enjoy. So, but today, everyone, we're going to talk about an interesting statement. Okay, and I'm going to read a statement, and I'm going to have Mom and Dad and everybody respond to it. Okay, and it says this. This is a statement. Many millennials, resent church because their parents were good at church, but not good at life. They struggle attending a place that consumed their parents' time, but never transformed their private life. So, what do you all think about that statement? Who wants to start first?
You know, that is a very true statement. And with raising our one son, he attended church every seventh day. Mm-hmm. I think it was the only one he missed was his first day. First Sabbath of birth in the hospital. And what he saw in church, he saw at home. Very loving, very kind, and church people. Mm-hmm. Now, I was brought up in a home where church was not a central issue. Mm-hmm. It was not a central issue. I don't think my mother and father attended church as I was growing up. Mm-hmm. But I remember one day, I forget what day of the week, a church 2 blocks up the street came by and asked if they would send my younger brother Dean and myself to Sunday school, and they consented. So the next thing I knew, we were in Sunday school, and I assume I must have been about maybe the 5th or 6th grade. Mm-hmm. And as I was growing older as a teenager, then they started attending church also. Mm-hmm. But I was not really brought up in a church background. Mm. And that was interesting because when I started going to church, then I realized that a lot of people in my church knew my mother and father. Mm. And many of the people in that church were related to us. And that just stunned me. Mm-hmm. Stunned me, in fact. But that was my experience. And we did the right thing by raising our son.
Well, thank you.
By going to church, and by going to church and seeing church, not only church, but church at home as well. Mm-hmm. Okay, who's next?
Beautiful. Who's going to be next? Come on, who's going to be next?
Well, I guess I'll speak next. Mm-hmm. When we were growing up as children, I found out that in my home that I grew up in, mother and father, whole family, all went to church together. And it was like, it was made to look, the Sabbath that we went to, every week the Sabbath came up. It was like a family gathering together. Mm-hmm. My dad worked at night during the week, except Friday night. Mm-hmm. But Friday night, the Saturday night was our time together, our Sabbath time, and it was not a burden. It was made to be enjoyable, and I didn't regret anything that my parents taught me as I was growing up, mm-hmm. because I said, well, the way I was growing up and the way I was taught is the same way that I'm going to practice when I have a child or have mm-hmm. children, whatever, that I'm going to follow the same principle. Mm-hmm. Consistency is so important mm-hmm. as growing up as children and teaching your children. You never want to be inconsistent. Well, I'm not going to church. We're not going to church today. I don't feel like going to church today. That was never said in our family. And so since it was never said to me in our family and we mm-hmm. all went to church together, I said, this is the same practice I'm going to do when I have my own family. And praise God, I thank God for you, Todd, being the Christian that you are, because I see where consistency with going to church every week, mm-hmm. little, small, grown, or whatever, does pay off.
Mm-hmm. All right. I guess, Hanty, you're up next.
I guess so. And it gives me great pleasure to be able to defend.
Mhm.
Your statement is very true. The statement is, I
Yeah.
don't know whether it's yours or somebody else's.
It was somebody else's. I can't
Somebody
claim.
else's. But I agree with it. And I was trying to think of something that would be different from Myrna and Dell's, but
Mhm.
they've said, you know, what I believe in. And there's probably not a whole lot that I would add because Myrna and I were born and raised in the same home
22 months apart.
Really?
and raised in the same church.
Mhm.
That I echo, you know, what she
Mhm.
is believing in, and trying to, you know, without judgment on somebody else's life.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to keep it to my own,
Right.
which is sometimes difficult.
Mhm.
And however, I had two children
Mhm.
who are now grown, and two grandchildren
Mhm.
that
Have
are
grown.
growing
Yeah.
up. And
Beautiful ones.
and I see where I have the grandchildren, I see some of me
Mhm.
being probably 45 years ago.
Mhm. Mm. Ooh.
That you know the practice is still strong.
Yeah.
And even though we're in a virtual
Mhm.
atmosphere right now, when I see what my son does, all right, it's time for church service now.
Mm.
And that's good because forever how long we're in this epidemic,
Mhm.
the kids are going to remember
Mhm.
the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Mhm.
And if the parents demonstrate it,
Mhm.
the kids really have no choice
Mhm.
but to demonstrate it, even though they're 12 going on 13 and 10. It's embedded in them. They
Yeah.
know.
Yes.
They know that Sabbath is coming and this is what we do.
Mhm.
And that is so important.
Mhm.
Like Myrna said, consistency. Let's do it every week. I don't care
Mhm.
what's going on.
Mhm.
And even though we get tired as
Yeah.
parents, we may get tired. That's a human nature.
Mhm.
But Sabbath is still the blessed Sabbath day to me.
Mhm.
And our doctrine is as well. Don't have to hammer it.
Mhm.
It's just in there. It's just in their blood.
And when you talk about millennials,
Mhm.
maybe they're in their situation, the consistency was not there
Mhm.
for them to be the way you
Mhm.
described in your statement.
Mhm.
I still have to go back where it says, the Bible even says, and I have to quote the Bible, it says, train up a child in the way he should go.
Mhm.
In the way he should go, you've got to train them. And
Mhm.
when he is old, he will not depart from it. And that is a promise.
Mhm.
So I look at that to say, you know what? I'm going to try it.
Mhm.
And I tried it. And so far it has worked because our son is almost a half a century old.
And I think for a lot of people out there, you know, they think that you're going to be, what we're really talking about here is when you instill certain values in a child, even though they may go a little awry at times, it happens. There's a way that they know what's right, and they tend to go back to the basics when everything falls apart, right? They know what to go to. They know how to pray. They know how to act. They know that, you know what, I'm so far gone, Lord, but Lord, my parents taught me how to talk to you. My parents taught me how to love you. My parents taught me how to pray to you. And see, when you have those basics, you can always go back to them and rebuild whatever you crash into. But when those basics are not there, it's not saying that God can't work with you. It's just harder to pull basics together when you don't know what the basics are, right? It's very interesting, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about Kobe Bryant. They said Kobe Bryant practiced every day on the basics, at least 20 minutes on the basics every day. So if you practice on the basics of giving your child the equipment they need to survive in life every day, and it's more than just training, it's love. You know, I can tell you right now, my auntie hugged me, my mom and dad hugged me. I felt love every day I grew up. Even when I got spanked, I still felt love because they still loved me. They still cared about me. That's when I see my parents, I get happy. When your children are not happy to see you, there was something missing in the relationship, and it's usually love, right?
No, I'm going to say this, that I, as an older senior citizen, was brought up in an era where children should be seen but not heard.
Yeah.
Whatever your parents told you to do, you did it without question. You did not question your parents. However, the situation has changed. And I notice with a lot of millennials, they question why.
Yeah.
They want to know why. Why do I have to go to bed at 10 o'clock? Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? It's a completely different lifestyle. Things have changed. The Bible has not changed, but our educational system has changed. I remember going up to Western Michigan University. Can I say that?
Yeah, yes, you can, Dan.
And we had principles of psychology. And the first thing, you know, as a young man, 19 years old, you know, the professor came in and said, question everything you see. Question everything you see. Use the scientific method. That's what has been drummed into a lot of us now retired professionals. But that is no longer taught in our educational system.
Yeah, and it's, you know, people are starting to accept truths as truths without questioning the basics.
Without question, yeah.
Right.
Just because somebody said it, they believe it.
And what's even worse, the source is not even the Bible anymore.
That's correct.
They call it what they call a credible source. And to me, you know, I'm like, what? So whatever you think is credible, even if it's wrong, you're going to think it's okay.
Yes, that's right.
So you never even question what you think is credible because you don't research it to find out the real truth. You know, what is this here, right? And that's why we have a lot of shifting sand. That's why we have a lot of people. And so, you know, like I said, it's more than just telling somebody. It's more than just training. It's also the love. I mean, you know, even though you didn't grow up that in a house that my mom and aunt Auntie were raised in, your house was still loving.
Yeah.
Right? You felt love. You know, you felt the warm hug and kiss, right? You felt like, hey, you know what? And so, you know, and I think a lot of times when people do stuff, they don't do it in love. You know, I'm not going to say his name, but I got a cousin right now that grew up getting punished not because of love. Anger, you did it wrong. Ooh, I beat you. Oh, okay, he did wrong. But, you know, and I'll tell you all this. You know, my dad, he did whoop me. But the crazy thing about my whoopings was that before he whooped me, he would pray for me. He would pray over me. He would even say, Lord, help him understand why I'm whooping him. And then when we got up, yes, I got whooped, folks. Yes, I did. I had corporal punishment on him. I know it's not whatever. I think I turned out okay.
Try to end with saying, Todd, I still love you.
Thank you. And think about that. How many times you have a parent tell you today, and whoever you are, after you whoop your child when they cut up and did the worst thing possible, you're going to say, I still love you. But understand, I didn't want to whoop you, but I had to whoop you so you learn a lesson to stop doing this. That's the only way I can do it. And I think if you try to change that mind, I hope that can help somebody today. What do you want to say? I see mom in the background. Auntie.
They're co-signing back there.
I just want to say this, Todd, you talk like you got whipping. I never whipped you. I never whipped you. All I had to do was give you the eye, and you knew what I meant what I meant. And when I think about a whipping that you got, You got a whipping from your dad because you deserved it that day. Did you put that vehicle in reverse and it started backing out of the driveway?
No one's disputing that. We got evidence of that because we got plenty of witnesses to vows that I got whooped that day.
Well,
Mom,
that's an example of, I know that you got a whipping, but I have to say, I don't remember you getting a whole lot. I don't remember getting whipped.
I remember my childhood maybe a little bit different, but that's okay. We're gonna go with that.
Yeah,
Your mom is right.
for the sake of consistency.
Yeah. We're just gonna roll with this one, folks. We're just gonna roll with this. But I just hope this helps people out today. And thank you again, Hanty. This is awesome having you with Mom and Dad Talks because you're mommy too. And Mom and Dad, always a pleasure having you, especially during this time frame. Everybody stay safe. We love you. Subscribe to Sustain the Changes at gmail.com to see all the Mom and Dad Talks. Hopefully we drop some wisdom that can help your day. So with that in mind, I hope you all have a great day and see you next time on Mom and Dad Talks. Bye.
Have a blessed day.